Welcome everyone to AEW Revolution on TEW 2020. This is the buy-in. So we kick off the buy-in with just the one match. Shawn Spears against Matt Cardona. Shawn Spears putting his Internet Championship on the line against Matt Cardona, who he won off on Dark just a couple of weeks ago. And in a pre-show bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, it is Shawn Spears that retains. He defeats Matt Cardona in 14 minutes 24 by pinfall with a handful of tights. So the win is a tainted one for Shawn Spears. He really is taking this seriously at the Internet Championship, even though he vowed that it wasn't a serious championship overall. And he's made defense number 3 of this title now, Shawn Spears, with a segment rating of 60. Well, after the match, Shawn Spears is celebrating like crazy after retaining his Internet Championship title. He taunts Cardona when all of a sudden the lights go out. When they come back on, the Sandman is stood in the ring opposite him, a can of beer in one hand, his kendo stick in the other. He drinks from the beer can, then cracks it over his head several times. Spears goes to attack, but Sandman lays him out with a shot to the head from the kendo stick. Sandman exits through the crowd celebrating with another beer. What a start to Revolution then. The only reason I brought in Sandman, he was a local worker. We're in the tri-state area. We are at the Barclays Center for Revolution in front of 17,732. It is sold out for AEW Revolution.
Welcome to an alternative reality. Your physical matter and energy are about to take you on the journey of a lifetime as you are about to enter another dimension.
Welcome everyone to a sold out Barclays Center for this year's AEW Revolution. What a night of action we have in store for you. Certainly JR tonight. Jon Moxley puts his AEW World Championship on the line against Hangman Adam Page. Can Page put the past behind him and finally cross the line, or will Mox be able to overcome and defend his title yet again? The World Tag Team Championships are on the line. Also, the Lucha Brothers of Death Triangle take on FTR, the best tag team in the world. And Dr. Britt Baker has pledged to strip Toni Storm of her Women's Championship. We're going to find out if she can. Well, kicking things off is the ladder match between the Young Bucks and SCU. The winners becoming number 1 contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Let's take you to the ring. So strong start there with the segment rating of the pay-per-view commentary team that we have of JR and Tony Schiavone. Excalibur working other dates for PWG. So anyway, let's have a look at the full match card then for tonight. So kicking things off, we've got the Young Bucks against SCU. Then Orange Cassidy puts his TNT Championship on the line against Miro. We also have that 2-on-1 handicap steel cage match between Archer and the Hardys. We'll also see the World Tag Team Championships on the line between the Lucha Brothers and FTR. Kenny Omega gets a shot at Pac once again. Maybe for the final time, we'll have to wait and see. In a grudge match, the Women's Championship on the line. Toni Storm set to defend it against Dr. Britt Baker. And we've also got Shinsuke Nakamura against CM Punk. He beat Brody King to find himself here tonight. And the main event, the big one, Jon Moxley puts his title on the line against Hangman Adam Page. Will he finally be toppled? So kicking off AEW Revolution is that tag team ladder match. Winners becoming number 1 contenders for the World Tag Team Championships in a superb match. It's the Young Bucks that defeat SCU in 15 minutes 16. It was Matt Jackson that retrieved the contract. And straight away my eyes are drawn to Matt Jackson receiving a broken jaw in this match, even though they did put on a fantastic performance, the Young Bucks. The match getting the crowd buzzing. Although I'm bit disappointed that we're not up in the 70s for this one. Maybe that's because of the broken jaw for Matt Jackson that he sustained in this ladder match, which is a bit disappointing. Hopefully he's not going to be out for too long because, wow, they're new number 1 contenders for the World Tag Team Championships. So after the match, Matt and Nick, the Young Bucks, are the new number 1 contenders for the World Tag Team Championships. As we know, they will now face the winners of either Lucha Brothers or FTR later this evening. They celebrate in the ring as Revolution is off to a great start. Then, Santana and Ortiz of the Inner Circle attack from behind. They lay out the Young Bucks with a baton and the loaded sock. They also take the fight to SCU, who were on the outside recovering after a hellacious ladder match. Santana is full of aggression, grabs Scorpio Sky and puts him through the timekeeper's table. Ortiz places Kazarian's head next to the ring post and hammers his loaded sock against it. How is he going to be able to recover from that one? A brutal assault as refs and security eventually race down to the ringside to usher them away. SCU and Young Bucks left hurting. They should have been expecting this after what went down with that town hall meeting with the Inner Circle on Dynamite a few weeks ago. As we roll into the next segment, Shinsuke Nakamura is walking backstage. He looks ready for his match against CM Punk late tonight. He then bumps it into Cody, who is back and still healing from the brutal assault by Culture Shock a few weeks ago. Stitches are visible from where he was busted open. And he says, "Shinsuke, sorry I couldn't be around last week to watch your back, but you did just fine. Good luck tonight against Punk." "Thank you." Both shake hands and go their separate ways. So a nice little 71 for this backstage segment between Cody and Shinsuke. I'm hoping that's going to be a great match between Shinsuke and CM Punk a bit later on. But up next we have a hype video package played ahead of the TNT Championship match, which will see Orange Cassidy defend his title against the Bulgarian brute, Miro. And it gets a 66. Miro getting better at his gimmick. That's really good to see. Let's see what we get for the match then. Ooh, in a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, a new TNT champion Miro defeats Orange Cassidy in 14 minutes 12. After a ballplex, Miro wins the championship title. We get 74 for this. Miro putting in one of his better performances so far in this save here with AEW. He gets a strong 70 there. Orange Cassidy with a 56. And a 74 overall. It's just brilliant to see. And now Miro's going to go from strength to strength with that TNT title around his waist. And it's really good to note that Orange Cassidy, Miro, they have good chemistry. Maybe we could see a rematch. Not sure whether we want to go down that route, but we'll just have to wait and see. Breaking things up a little, we get the announcement of the brackets for the 8-man World Championship title eliminator tournament. Going to have Kenny Omega against Sammy Guevara, who worked his way into the tournament after that victory a few weeks ago on Dynamite. Darby Allin against EC3 of Team Taz. Question marks next to MJF there. And Pac will take on Chris Jericho. The next episode of Dynamite then, Spring Stampede, will feature a Battle Royale. The winner receives that match against MJF and a chance to go on and win the tournament. So we get 79 for that, featuring all of our main top guys in the company, which is really good to see. I might have to work the tournament round again. So what you're seeing is not final. Everything will be finalised though for Dynamite, the next episode of Dynamite, and we will start the that show off with a look at the brackets that will be fought for over the coming weeks. Up next, the huge steel cage wraps itself around the ring. Smoke rises from all four corners as both the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, make their way to the ring, followed by the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer. We get a 64 for this, as I'm hoping it's paid off, this match, this 2-on-1. And well, in a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Lance Archer defeats the Hardys in a handicap match in 10 minutes 10 when Archer pinned Matt Hardy after a huge blackout. And this match has exceeded my expectations. We've got 72 for this one. Lance Archer with a 57. Jeff Hardy did take a stump bump. Just think about that steel cage that AEW currently have. I'm thinking Hardy went for a swanton bomb off the top of that, or maybe a whisper in the wind, and completely missed. So he is out of action, which allowed Lance Archer to take advantage and hit Matt Hardy with that blackout. It's a huge cage. If you've seen the first cage match in real life between Cody and Wardlow, well, just look at that moonsault from Cody. Just seems so high up. But anyway, a 72 from this match. It's brilliant. And after the match, EMTs surround Jeff Hardy, who took a huge bump off the top of the cage, as we've already mentioned. Matt Hardy is there, concerned for his brother. They begin to treat him, and then they load him onto a stretcher. Lance Archer makes his way up the ramp with a smirk on his face, and Jake the Snake alongside him. So, what is next for the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer? What is next for Jeff Hardy? Will he be able to return? We'll have to wait and see. What's next for Matt Hardy as we get 69 for that segment. Dr. Britt Baker is seen in her locker room then getting ready for a match for the Women's Championship against Toni Storm. Nyla Rose storms in and grabs Britt and slams her up against the wall and says, "You better not forget our little agreement, otherwise you won't like what happens if you do. Good luck." She dusts Britt's shoulders and walks off. So Britt Baker and Nyla Rose coming to a little bit of an agreement over the last week or so, which saw Nyla Rose go on and lose to Toni Storm in that go-home show of Dynamite. And Nyla Rose wants a title shot if Britt Baker can defeat her here tonight. Well, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix, the Lucha Brothers, the World Tag Team Champions, make an elaborate entrance wearing their fresh gear and sporting those tag titles, which they are set to defend right now against FTR. We get a 64 for that. Fingers crossed for a fantastic tag team match with the titles on the line. What's it gonna be? In a superb match, FTR defeat the Lucha Brothers in 21 minutes. We have new World Tag Team Champions. It's Cash Wheeler that pins Rey Fenix. And we've also received an injury in this match. Pentagon Jr. sustaining cauliflower ear. Hopefully that shouldn't leave him out for too long, should it? We get a 62 for this match. I mean, I know it says it's a superb match, but a 62, it's a bit disappointing, as everyone really did perform well, although the match did drag a little, and the performers weren't able to go at that all-out pace, which is a bit disappointing. But if it says it's a superb match, then I'll go with that. I can imagine it between FTR and Lucha Brothers. They have fought one another in real life, haven't they, on Dynamite quite a few months back, last year in 2020. But anyway, having FTR go over the Lucha Brothers, I'd made that decision with such a heavy heart, but there is a bit of a story coming up with that, as Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler celebrate as your new World Tag Team Champions. Tully steps in the ring and holds both their arms up in the air with those titles. So the reign of FTR is about to begin, along with the three. Can Hangman Adam Page make it 3 out of 3 late tonight in the main event against Jon Moxley? On the outside, Pentagon seems to be having words with Rey Fenix. Both make their way to the back. We get a 68 for that, just wrapping things up nicely. And then we see Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana and Ortiz together backstage. Jericho very appreciative of Santana and Ortiz's handiwork earlier this evening after they attacked both Young Bucks and SCU. Good work, gentlemen. What you did tonight showed everyone, including those annoying Bucks, we're not messing around anymore. We've got rid of the deadweight, trimmed the fat, if you will. And in doing so, it'll only make the inner circle stronger. Santana, Ortiz, go. Enjoy yourselves. You've worked hard tonight. Sammy, you and I are going to discuss this World Title Eliminate Tournament, which begins Wednesday on Dynamite. Santana and Ortiz leave as they close the door to Jericho talking business with Sammy Guevara. So going back to the brackets that I announced earlier, Jericho, I don't really want him. There's no reason for him to be in that tournament because he hasn't really had much of a showing over the last couple of weeks. So I do need to rearrange it, and it will be for the next episode of Dynamite. We see Kenny Omega making an elaborate entrance ahead of the next match this evening, the grudge match between Omega and Pac. This is the one I'm going all out for. This is a spectacle I set to between Omega and Pac. Always seem to put in an amazing shift, these two, as we saw in the Iron Man match before. Well, it was before Revolution, wasn't it? Last year in real life. Anyway, in an exceptional match, Kenny Omega defeats Pac in 30 minutes 27 after a one-winged angel. We get an 86 for this match. It's our best match so far here in AEW, here on TEW 2020. Kenny Omega with an 86, Pac with a 78 in-ring performance. The match getting the crowd buzzing and on their feet as you'd expect. We set it to slow build with it being running for just over half an hour there. Imagine that. Just imagine. Well, we've already had that match, haven't we? It was a 30-minute Iron Man match, but an 86, that's incredible. And hopefully it's going to bump up the overall rating for this show, for Revolution. Pac exits the ring, frustrated after coming very close to defeating Kenny Omega, but Omega is the one who celebrates a hard-fought win. What a match. Not a good night for Death Triangle. Will they be able to get back up after this pay-per-view? Well, it's certainly not looking too good for Death Triangle, is it? They lost the TNT title through Pac to Orange Cassidy months ago. Now they've dropped the World Tag Team titles to FTR. Oh, I'm not sure where is this going for Death Triangle. We then head backstage with Renee. With me at this time, Hangman Page. A few weeks back, after you became #1 contender, you promised Mox that you and the three would make sure nobody like Pac or his Death Triangle touched him. As it turns out, it was you in the end that did. Last Wednesday on Dynamite. What happened to your promise? What happened to having a fair fight, both at you, at 100%? Hangman Page smirks and then replies, "You wouldn't believe me if I said it was an honest mistake and that I'm sorry. We did all we could, and I think it's fair to say we did a fine job, but after I hit Mox with the buckshot last week, it made me realise that once again I am so close to being world champion. This time has to be different, needs to be different. I need to be champion. For me. If it means softening Mox up a little, then so be it. I ain't sorry. After all, he knew he had a target on his back, and tonight I put a hole through the middle of it." Page walks off as we get a 70 rating for this segment between Renee, Jon Moxley's real-life wife, and Hangman Adam Page, just hyping up that main event a little bit more. Then up next, it's the Women's Championship match in a bout that had decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Toni Storm retains her women's title against Dr. Britt Baker in 12:24 after a strong 0. Toni Storm making defense number 3 of the title. As planned, this match did bring the fans down a bit. I knew that Kenny Omega and Pac match was going to pay off, and I knew it was going to get the crowd buzzing. But we've got to calm them down slightly with this match, as we still have Shinsuke Nakamura against Punk and the main event. 2 matches that have the potential to really get the crowd roaring. Toni Storm celebrates her win as she retains the Women's Championship. Britt Baker is outside the ring as it just dawns on her what Nyla Rose said earlier this evening. We get a 58 for that. She's just so good. Toni Storm, when it comes to segments like this. A quick promo is played hyping the next Dynamite Spring Stampede, including the likes of Kenny Omega, Jericho, Moxley, Pac and Cody, not to be missed as the World Title Eliminate Tournament begins. So yeah, don't miss it. Up next then, it's Shinsuke Nakamura against CM Punk. Shinsuke had to beat Brody King in that go-home show with Dynamite, which he did to find himself here tonight, having a shot at CM Punk. And in about that, had fantastic heat and great wrestling. CM Punk defeats Shinsuke Nakamura in 12:47 after a huge and devastating go to sleep. We get an 80 for this match. Isn't it surprising how good CM Punk still is with his in-ring performance? Getting an 80 there, not far behind Kenny Omega's performance that he put in against Pac earlier this evening. CM Punk celebrates in the ring after beating Nakamura. He's joined by his culture shock Brody King, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. They all raise their arms together, united. We head over to the commentary desk. Well folks, it all comes down to this then. Our main event of the evening between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page, the AEW World Championship on the line. A promo package plays for Mox versus Hangman. That match though for Punk, I felt as though Punk had to win it against Shinsuke. Hated doing it, but he had to because we've got Blood and Guts coming up very soon. And well, we'll just have to wait and see what it leads to. But in the main event of the evening, in a bout that had fantastic heat and great wrestling, and still, AEW World Champion Jon Moxley retains against Page after 23 minutes 25 after a paradigm shift. Moxley making defense number 5 of his title, and well, it didn't really deliver. Moxley was really off his game for this main event, which is disappointing to see. We did have a decisive finish, Hangman to be kept strong. The match did drag at the end because both couldn't go at an all-out pace. Jon Moxley celebrates his victory over Hangman Adam Page. It's now a year, officially a year, Mox has held on to that World Championship because he won it against Jericho, didn't he, at Revolution in 2020. Who will beat him for it? Will anyone beat him for it? The World Title Eliminator Tournament begins on the next Dynamite as AEW Revolution comes to a close. So a show just packed full of wrestling action, really. I kind of wanted it to be match after match. Didn't really want to have too much focus on angles, as I want to be keeping those sort of things for Dynamite. And we've got an 81 overall rating for Revolution, which is fantastic. I'm not complaining. It's really good to see. We would have gained popularity in 2 American and 2 Canadian regions, 2 British regions also, but we did gain in 45 regions overall. 81, it's not our best pay-per-view that we've put on, but I will certainly take that as we head now towards our next pay-per-view, which will be Double or Nothing. That's the main one. That's the big one that we have to make sure we deliver with. But anyway, that is it for AEW Revolution 2021. I hope you guys have enjoyed. See you all soon for Dynamite.